So I watched The Incredibles, and I don't know why people love this movie so much. It's absolutely atrocious. I would rate this movie like a 3 out of 10 maximum. I mean, I would even give it like a 1 or a 2, but just for the animations, maybe I would give it a 3. But for the rest, this movie just pretty much sucks. I mean, let's be honest, this movie it's not incredible at all. Far from it. I think this is one of Pixar's most overrated and self indulgent films. It's just a superhero mess disguised as something super clever, something super excited, something, groundbreaking. I mean, I was expecting something smart, something heartfelt, maybe something with a little bit of emotion, something really cool to look at, but I mean, I was expecting Pixar, and this definitely wasn't it. Now, fair enough, Pixar isn't always Pixar, but in this movie, what I got was something overhyped, super noisy. Pretty much every character in the movie it is annoying as hell, and this movie tries way too hard to look cool and interesting, and it forgets to actually tell a decent story. This movie has a lot of problems. I mean, the setup, I guess, is kind of cool. Superheroes are banned after a public backlash, forcing Bob Barr, Mr. Incredible himself, to live this dull suburban life with his equally miserable family. Also, like I said, none of them, are enjoyable to look at, to listen to. Everybody's annoying in this movie. I mean, what the hell were they thinking? And then Bob gets offered a secret mission, and he jumps back into action and he drags his family along for the ride. Of course he does. I mean, the premise, I guess it sounds kind of interesting, I guess. But then the Incredibles, they take this idea and they run it straight into the ground. And I mean, let's start with the positives. And for me, there aren't many positives at all. I mean, I think like maybe the last 30 minutes, last 50 minutes of this movie, eh, let's say the final act, it shows maybe a little bit of what this movie could have been. We have this family fighting together. The pacing of the movie feels somewhat right, and yeah, it's kind of cool, I guess, but it's way too late to save this movie. And for me, that's pretty much where the good things or the positives, end. I really don't have much good things to say about this movie. And I know people will hate me for it, but let's be real. So, where does it all go wrong? Well, this movie it's predictable to the point that it's pretty much insulting. Every single twist of this movie is telegraphed. I mean, you can call every plot hole beat within 10 minutes before it even happens. And here's where it gets really stupid. We have these superheroes, and Mr. Incredible, he gets caught, he escapes. The family gets caught, they escape. It's rinse and repeat. It's stupid. I mean, there's no real tension. The solutions, there aren't really any solutions because, you know, everything happens on accident. They when they escape, everything is just an accident. It's not like they had to come up with a clever solution. No, it's stupid. I don't know why they did it like this. I mean, the accidental hero problem is a problem. you know you want heroes to escape on their own terms, to you know have them use their own wits to get out of difficult situations. But this movie, every time they escape, it just happens on accident. It just happens by accident. I mean, that's, I think, like a superhero rule that they're breaking in this movie. Isn't that a thing? I mean, Mr. Incredible, he gets tied up, he gets caught. And instead of using his brains, instead of using his smart, instead of using, his powers, the villain's assistant just, you know, lets him go. I mean, why not? Twice! It happens twice in this movie. That is just insane. It's lazy. And it just kills all the tension, all the dramatic weight that this movie could have had. It's just really silly. And then, like I said, these characters, they are probably one of the dullest protagonists that I've ever seen on screen. They are self-absorbed, they're joyless, and they are impossible to root for. I mean, we have Bopar. He is super dull. All these dad jokes going on, and then we have Helen, his wife. I mean, she's written like the classic nagging stereotype. It's exhausting to look at. And then we have Violet, their daughter. I mean, she's just this mopey goth type of cliche. It's not fun to no, it's not fun at all. And then Dash, their son. He's just exhausting to the nth degree. He's just noise on the screen. I mean, oh my God, I'm getting pissed off talking about it. I think they really created some of the most dullest, flattest, unrelatable, one-dimensional characters ever on screen in a Pixar movie. It's really stupid. And then the miserable pacing of this movie. I mean, the first hour it just drags like walking through wet cement. It's slow. The jokes don't land. There's no direction. Even I can tell, and I don't know anything about movies, but even I can tell that they didn't know what they were going for. And then all of a sudden this movie just goes into overdrive. And we get all these chaotic action scenes and I could even barely follow what was going on. I mean, that is a serious problem. But like I said, the last act, the final act is probably what this movie should have been. And don't even get me started on the humor, the jokes. I mean, Pixar usually has some subtle humor, some witty jokes, but The Incredibles, they just settle for cheap side gags, still, dad jokes. Watching Mr. Incredible struggle with his waistline, it isn't funny. It feels desperate. It is desperate. And this movie they just throw so many jokes at the wall just to see what sticks, and let me tell you, none of the jokes stick, none of the jokes land. I didn't laugh once, not even a chuckle, and that is a problem. This movie is like roughly 2 hours, I think. I mean, I was getting bored. And this movie tries to make a stylish depiction of hero movies of hero hero supers, no, superheroes. You see, I'm getting all confused here. So it's just style over something emotional, something that has something to tell. But this movie is just style over nothing. And yeah, when we talk about style, we got to talk about the animations. And I mean, this movie is from 2004. I get that, but the animations, or the animation might have been something groundbreaking back in the day, but yeah, it didn't really age very well. Not at all. Everything looks, plasticky, expressionless. The eyes, it feels lifeless. It's kind of creepy, if you compare it to something like Toy Story, if you compare it to Brave, another Pixar movie, or even not Pixar, but a movie like Frozen, animation movies. This movie, in terms of style, in terms of design, it falls really behind. It really lacks in the way they created these animations. But then again, it's over 20 years ago, so I guess it's fine. But it just feels flat and stiff. Yeah, very dull-like character design, I would even say. And yeah, last but not least, we have a villain that could have, should have been great, but really isn't. I mean, Syndrome, he has potential. He is the villain, but he just feels like he's on a cartoon tantrum. He doesn't feel like a threat, like a real villain, like something to be scared of. He just feels like, he's having a hissy fit. That's what he feels like. And yeah, that is a problem for a villain. You want to have a really menacing villain, even if it is a kids movie or a animation movie. It doesn't really matter. You got to make sure you get a complex villain on screen, somebody that is menacing, somebody that is threatening, and Syndrome isn't any of those things. So yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why people like this movie so much. I think it's really, really overhyped. And for me, a 3 out of 10, mm, that's me pushing it. I would even give it like a 1 or 2, but yeah, got to be a little bit realistic here. 3 out of 10. The Incredibles, I think it's a very loud, flat, joyless movie. I don't want to watch this movie ever again. And I think it's really overhyped. And for a movie about extraordinary people, this movie feels painfully ordinary. So for me, not a recommendation at all. But as always, what do I know about movies? Let me know what you think of this movie. Let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye bye.